taking care of the profit.
Thanks for the clarification.
The last 24 hours, the allegations we are having that the Swiss authorities have frozen the Adani Group bank accounts of 310 million Kenya shillings. Waziri, why don't you cancel this deal as of today before you walk out? And I know the president will understand. Number two, what is the consequence in case this deal is brought or halted today as you walk out from here? Before close of business, 5 p.m. Kenyan time. Secondly, your former colleague before the House in November last year, Kipchumba Murkomen, there were two Chinese companies and who is Civil Engineering Group and China Aerotechnology Corporation called CATIC were given an award of 55 billion to build 178,000 square meters terminal, which was designed by Pascal and Watson of London. The information I have is that the government, after the deal was poached, the government paid 4.7 billion Kenya shillings. What is the position on that matter, Waziri? Number three, under the PMF Act and the Constitution, why would you prefer privately initiated investment as opposed to open tendering process? Is this a case of money laundering by individuals that want to launder money using this investment at Jkia? Number four, this PIP by Adani Group of companies, is it only on Jkia, airports or airstrips including Karenga airstrip in Kericho, or is it only Jkia restricted on build, operate and transfer model, Waziri? Number five, I've heard you talking about stakeholder. Stakeholder engagement does not mean public. Even Article 10 of the Constitution, public participation involve even people who are not aware there is an airport or aeroplane. Is it in order for this committee, and what will be a comment, to indicate that public participation was never done as per envisaged by the Constitution? And finally, Chair, I'm happy Senator Jkia Okoitio Mtata has raised a question on the legality under PP, Public-Private Partnership Act. The reading of that act is that this deal is anchored on quicksand of fraud, pure manipulation, conmanship, self-aggrandizement, greed,
grand theft,
and corruption and larceny and lethargy of the people who want to perpetuate illegality. Chair, well, you know, when witnesses appear, they assume senators are busy from reading. Although we did Kipchoge 159 in reading documentation, it is out of curiosity that in the board minutes of Jkia, this will be my conclusion.
yes,
It is out of curiosity that in the board meeting, there are glaring concerns by the board. Either it was ignored, either it was not dismissed, or some big boy somewhere were playing golf and decided that Jkia board meeting minutes does not matter. In the observation in this minute 6/07/15 of 2024, consideration of the projects, I will read one paragraph in the interest of time, that Jkia, so that the proponent can generate its target revenue. I think that's Adani Group. It was observed, include our brother, the acting MD, Mr. Henry Ogoye. It was observed different quarters in government, making it difficult to advance that the acting, and we would want to know later, Chair, as a supplementary, why Ogoye engagement through which, who are these interests, such as money laundering? The question, so in their own minutes, Chair, they and even within government itself. So Waziri, looking at this minute in time, looking at these minutes, either K was ignored, either Ministry of Treasury was ignored, and I hope, Chair, as you rule, the Minister of Treasury should also appear. Minister of Treasury, the PS and the DG. Of course, DG, Mr. Chair, should be frog-marched by the IG, yes, because he has defied this committee, Chair. So the question is, there is no common position on this matter.
Should be fine.
So, Waziri, is it in order, as you walk out of this place, to cancel and call off this fraud by Adani Group? That is on page, members, Chair, I think people are looking for it, is page 4, the last attachment of Roman 4. We took a lot of time running about Roman numbers, but it has never helped us in life. But then Roman 4 of that minute, Chair. So if Waziri can Waziri kindly cancel this, as Abraham Lincoln has said, this is our government for the people, fight the people and for the people, do what the people want. Cancel this deal and we end this charade. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Bana CS.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I think we all agree that Kenyans need a new airport. I don't think that's in doubt. I don't think the questions about Adani that we are prosecuting is to, I guess, part of the, will help us go through the public participation, information positive, information negative. We do more better due diligence, but ensure that we do not lose, we do not throw away the baby with the bathwater. It's important, Chair, that this is not an investment that you are investing some few Kenya shillings. It's a very big investment, and would wish to all be working together to seek for way forward on building a new airport, and therefore they must be properly answered. Because, Chair, I did spend time in the beginning to show that the process, the PPP process, is basically an on-off, what is a negotiation process, and you don't negotiate by send it over to the PPP secretariat. We come back, work with our transaction advisor, respond to those challenges. Another democracy, or another democracy we are like many other African countries. You would be attracting the kind of questions we are receiving from the House this morning, and that in the minutes was that should we be using senior management shouldn't we have a bit of an elevated committee to seriously focus in a year to ratify some approvals? We don't get into a situation where the board doesn't quite understand this transaction. That is what that item, it was observed that the project has attracted interest from different quarters in government, making it difficult to advance common position as the government. The board sought clarification as to whether KA management had internal committee with KA position on all aspects of the project, and it was reported that decisions were being undertaken by KA, represented by general managers responsible for procurement, finance, human resource, Jkia legal representative for P. The committee recommended that KAA should ensure strict so it was basically being elevated to give the level of attention, even as the full board is advised, there is a focal point in a committee of the board that basically fully understands this transaction, and therefore the kind of hard questions that we are being asked, and which I do indicate as minister that we take them very positively. We need to interrogate, we need to get to the bottom of our due diligence. It is not like we are the rich boy in town with all the money to be able to build an airport. If you check those minutes, it does also recognize the fact that Jkia does not have capacity to build a new airport, which has been articulated by the PS from the bottom line, 19 billion revenue. There's an expenditure of 13 billion, 11 billion, and therefore, if we were to build an airport with own source revenue, we'll be doing it in 50 years. The airport we have, Chair, is, let me stop there. It's becoming narrative. But more importantly, yes, all the information, negative, positive, will help us to really ensure that we do a thorough due diligence, and it is a process ongoing now. To the extent, Chair, that we cancelled the deal. We don't have a deal. We're just negotiating. We're just negotiating. We don't have a deal. Absolutely.
Point of order. Thank you very much, Banasias. Maybe before I go to that, because I have a written submission here from a colleague, it's also good just to highlight, because he has done a lot of research. This is a written submission by Senator of Mandera, Senator Ali Roba, who, as you know, is also a former pilot, so probably he's well traveled. And there's a document I'm going to current pilot, okay. Istanbul Airport, Turkey, BOT, Indira Gandhi International Airport, India, 30-year concession, extendable by another 30 years. LaGuardia, 5-year lease agreement. So in other words, nobody is really fighting investors and BOTs. What we are trying to do is the processes. And he highlights down here, which I'm going to read, that after even giving the benefits of BOT model for Jkia, that is access to private capital, risk sharing and innovation, economic growth and connectivity and all that, he argues, while I advocate for the BOT model as an effective strategy for the expansion of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, I must express my strong opposition to partnering with the Adani Group for this critical project. This position is based on significant integrity concern associated with the company. And he goes on highlighting the three. Let me just read the headlines. Integrity concerns and financial misconduct, regulatory scrutiny and controversies, potential reputational damage. He has even given a recommendation which the committee will go through when we retreat to write our report. But from this, I will ask only one question. Since the ministry or the PPP, the director of PPP or the KAA have not done due diligence, what if when we retreat to write this report, we were to resolve that we do that work for you by summoning Adani to appear before this committee? What would you be say? But I see yes.
Thank you, Chair, and you have rightfully really brought out the fact that we consume all this information to help negatives, but to the extent that a due diligence, certain rules of engagement in terms of how some of these things are, you would not be having the ministers serving the country from where we sit today, if you were to do that. Equally, maybe if you did one of information in the due process, appear before the House as we are appearing. We all get involved, not just in shooting down an investor who could end up helping Kenya, and we end up really saying, look, we don't care whether we have a road in northern Kenya, we don't care whether we have power. We need power for our people. We are leaders. We need to provide service to our leaders. Let's critique like we are doing constructively, and get to the bottom of some of those negative information using credible source of information. We'll demand information credibly, and we'll take them through the due process and confirm. But let's not also act like there are so many investors willing to come into Kenya. If there were, we will not be struggling with the capitation for schools today, with the challenges in our universities. We need to put social investments into health, education, and the areas we need to put. We don't have a headroom.
Each and every senator a minute to give closing remark. Remember, we are collecting views, collecting documents so that the committee can again sit down and scrutinize every other document so that we can give a report or resolution as per the committee. So members, let the CS complete.
So just to finish and straight answer that question straight and clear, since we are doing due diligence, we'll basically have that information submitted by Senator Ali Roba, and I can assure you, Chairman, it will form some of the fundamental questions as we go through the due diligence to satisfy ourselves that is Adani a suitable investor or concessionaire to build an airport for us or not. And to a very good extent, Chair, if Senate was to use that information to say, then we all become part of the negotiating team. So allow us to run through the due process with that kind of information that can be volunteered to the committee, and when we come back to the House, we can be able to articulate and answer what we found out and why we decide to go forward or not. When I said we shall, it's not because there is a deal. Those are deal breakers. If the shall doesn't work, as a government, we must get this and we must get that. Those are deal breaker requirements, then we don't have a deal. So it's not that the deal has been done. We must get certain fundamentals right to be able to protect job security, to be able to ensure that our airport remains competitive. We are not just charging too much service charges at the airport and therefore giving away the opportunity, tourist opportunity to Ethiopia, to Tanzania and other countries. So, Chair, the shall is a question of the deal breakers that we must get. And if Senate feels like we should also have more deal breakers in this deal that we should negotiate, let's allow the negotiating team to use those deal breakers to